Hi friends, welcome back. So I want to dive into the world of Musk and Tesla. Elon actually tweeted out a couple of interesting things the last couple of hours, a couple of videos. I want to play them for you, share my thoughts, and get yours as well. So let's just jump right in. This is the first one coming from Musk 6 hours ago. Let's watch.
That there's a mission, there's a larger mission there. And I'd love if you talk a little bit about that.
Sure. I'll stand, actually. Can you see me? Yeah, I guess. Okay. Yeah, so as Jonah was alluding to, there are a lot of negative things in the world. There's a lot of terrible things that are happening all over the world, all the time. There are lots of problems that need to get solved. There's lots of things that are miserable and kind of get you down. But life cannot just be about solving one miserable problem after another. That can't be the only thing. There need to be things that inspire you, that make you glad to wake up in the morning and be part of humanity. That's why we did this. This guy called Tsiolkovsky, one of the early Russian rocket scientists, the great saying, "Earth is the cradle of humanity, but you cannot stay in the cradle forever." It is time to go forth, become a star-faring civilization, be out there among the stars, expand the scope and scale of human consciousness. I find that incredibly exciting. That makes me glad to be alive. I hope you feel the same way.
So that was Elon Musk, and see, this is, I believe it's probably South by Southwest, and that's 2018 or maybe 19. I can't quite read the number there. But I want to point this out, guys, is I really like this kind of stuff, right? If you don't know, I grew up watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. This is one of my favorite shows, if not my most favorite show ever. I watch all the sci-fi stuff there is. I know Musk is a sci-fi fan. And also, too, whenever I make the videos about Musk or Tesla or whatever, people, the fanboys and fangirls always think I hate Musk and I hate Tesla. It's such a joke. Musk went to my school. We're about the same age. I've met a lot of smart people in my time. I don't know Musk personally, but it's not like I'm against, this kind of stuff. And I've said several times in the past, I'd be happy if Musk didn't spend all that money on Twitter and just go say, hey, I'm going to build a Mars project and we're going to figure out how to get there. And I'm going to use all these billions of dollars to do it, because why not? And I find this stuff, again, really interesting. Now, the issue is, though, as an investor, as someone who I consider myself reasonably intelligent, I want to ask questions. Would this be, for example, a good investment to invest in, say, Musk, spacefaring kind of stuff? You want to be that kind of person. You want to ask questions. You want to understand things, right? You want to do business. And sometimes I see when the fanboys and fangirls of the Musk and Tesla stuff, the basic response is always, well, Musk is really, really smart and he must know what he's doing. Only really naive people talk that way. If you want to get good at this kind of stuff, ask questions, ask to see numbers, look at the numbers for yourself. Don't just say, oh, I just trust him that he's going to build the warp drive, right? It doesn't really make sense. The thing for me is be like, hey, when are we going to have the warp drive? Is it going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? When's the warp drive coming, right? Just for example, or, how much money do you need to make the warp drive? How much it's going to cost? And if he keeps talking about space travel, but never delivers anything, then you start to okay, what's going on here? where's my warp drive, right? And I want to sort of instill that kind of asking questions as being fundamental to understanding the world. If you just accept what everyone says, just because they're on TV or because they have really cool glasses like, say, Kathy Wood, this is how you get tricked and how you get fooled. Learn to ask questions, and also to learn how to understand what is realistic and what is not. So again, I'm inspired. I'm happy that Musk talks about space travel and stuff like that. I don't disagree, but I'd like to see the plans. I'd like to see results. That's not a crazy thing to say. And I want you to watch this next video with Kathy Wood, knowing what, how, yes, you can get hyped up by hearing about space travel and technology, that kind of stuff, but also to put some practical, sense in this stuff, because you don't want to get burned by being overhyped. So have a listen to Kathy Wood and to see where you can pick out where it might be a little bit too hypey, and then I'll share my thoughts. So let's take a look at this.
Very importantly, research on how these technologies are going to evolve is critical. you'll see many strategies will put anything that has the word artificial intelligence into a portfolio, anything in the prospectus, let's say. That's one way of doing it. But we are much more focused on who's going to take the lion's share of this market. And it's a winner take most market in many cases. The most interesting one to us, and probably the one that will scale enormously during the next 5 to 10 years, is robotaxis or autonomous taxi platforms. That's the convergence among robotics. Autonomous vehicles are robots. Energy storage, they will be electric because costs are coming down with this new technology, and artificial intelligence. They'll be powered by AI. We believe that that entire opportunity is going to generate revenues of $8 to $10 trillion in 2030, half of which will go to the platforms like Tesla. Tesla is the biggest artificial intelligence project in the world, we believe, as it moves towards this goal of autonomous taxi networks.
So there's Kathy Wood, and she's talking about, Tesla is going to be awesome, etc. And then this is this is Musk 5 hours ago. This is Musk 6 hours ago. I want to show you. This is directly from Musk. And he's like, as Kathy Wood states, Tesla is the biggest AI project on Earth. Now, the issue is, of course, if you're just a lay person or average person, you get all hyped up. This has got 19 million views on this video on the Musk thing. This one's got 6.2 million views. And if you're questioning these things, people are like, oh, you just hate science. You just hate innovation. And that's literally what Kathy Wood will say sometimes to people. To be like, are you questioning innovation? You just don't like innovation. or if I question like this kind of stuff, they'll be like, oh, you just hate Musk and Tesla. And it's just like wait, that's a horrible discussion. So this is what I want to look at. I want to look at, okay, let's start with this. Kathy Wood claims that this whole robotaxi stuff is going to be $8 to $10 trillion by 2030, 6 years from now. Okay. Now, if you're just a lay person and you don't know anything about numbers, like you just accept it. You say, oh, okay, that's only, $8 to $10 trillion. That's no big deal, right? And then she's like, okay, and Tesla, platforms like Tesla are going to get half of that money. So now we're talking about like, Tesla's going to get like $4 to $5 trillion in revenue. And again, we're not talking about profits, but revenue, right? Money coming in. Now, this is sort of my, goal here when you guys come to this channel is to actually look into this stuff, ask the questions that you should be asking, and see, okay, are we even in the realm of possibility? I've already questioned Robotaxi, the whole business model, but right now I just want to talk with numbers with you. Don't even question whether or not, Robotaxi is a thing. You can watch my other videos on that. Let's just focus on the 8 to 10 trillion. First, I completely understand that people get upset with this thing because they got money in this stuff, right? So Tesla, if let's say, for example, you bought it in November 5th, 2021, you're down 58% on your money, and you're like, oh my God, I want my money to come back. I want my rocket dreams on Robotaxi dreams to come true. So I understand if you have a financial stake in said thing, you want this stuff to be true. But I want you guys to, think with your mind, not just your emotions and your heart. That's where they get you. The first thing I'd point out is other companies are out there trying, say, space travel. Just for example, this is Richard Branson here. This is the Virgin Galactic stuff. And one of the things that, even though I like when Elon Musk talks about space travel and stuff like that, to my knowledge, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Elon Musk has traveled to space in his own rockets. If I'm wrong, you can correct me, but that's my understanding of it. And regardless of what you think about Branson, hey, the guy puts his body where his mouth is, right? And I think that matters. However, even though Branson even did that, the whole Virgin Galactic thing, it just wasn't a great investment. Literally, this is it. It like peaked out at whatever, $50 and is down to like 98%. And this is something else too I want to mention is like, as the wheels coming off of Tesla, people start to ask the actual questions they should have asked, a couple of years ago. And when I was asking, it's not cool, but now people are starting to ask more. The first thing I want to mention when we're talking about this kind of stuff, again, we're talking about could this robotaxi stuff be what does Kathy Wood say, was it 8 to 10 trillion, and then maybe 4 to 5 trillion go to Tesla? First, I want to look at like the value of Tesla at the moment is about, and this is 536 billion, so we'll call it half a trillion, something like that. Okay, and it's 15th most valuable company in the world based on the stock, just ahead of Walmart, which I think is interesting. Now remember though, the question though is like when we're talking about trillions, right? That even makes sense. Well, okay, first I want to think of terms of market cap. How much are companies worth? So Microsoft and Apple are 3 trillion Microsoft, 2.6 trillion Apple. Let's take a look at revenue. How much revenue do the biggest companies in the world generate? So actually, you may not know this, but the top generating revenue company at the moment is Walmart at 648 billion, right? So we'll just call it half a trillion or 0.6 trillion, whatever you want to say. And so just ask yourself this question. If this whole Robotaxi thing and AI stuff, 8 to 10 trillion in revenue, does that even seem like the realm of possibility? Or even, half of that, maybe 4 trillion in revenue? Does that even seem like a realistic possibility when right now in 2024, our highest revenue generating company, Walmart, is like 648 billion. We don't even have a trillion generating company anywhere in the world, let alone a single company that would generate 4 trillion. This is what I'm talking about, guys. And the next question you're probably asking, okay, so how much revenue does Tesla generate? So actually, we can see if Tesla's even on this chart. And they're on 83 in terms of just the revenue they generate every year. They generate 96 billion. Okay, they don't even generate $1 trillion, not even near $1 trillion. Yet Kathy Wood is like saying, oh yes, by 2036 years from now, they're going to be up to 4 trillion, maybe 5 trillion, right? And this is sort of what I want you guys to be thinking about. Like it's just not there. The numbers just don't add up. That's just revenue, okay? The other thing too I want to point out as well, and again, you can look at if you want to look at Walmart, if you want to look at Apple, generates like 385 billion. Again, there's no $1 trillion companies in terms of revenue in the world. I want to point you guys another number, and this is sort of why I talk about this stuff with you guys. Is like to just ask these questions. How much profits could companies make? So the top earnings company in the world is actually Saudi Aramco, so that'd be oil basically, 236 billion. Apple generates in terms of earnings, right, 121 billion. And where's Tesla on this chart? So this is the top 100, I believe, and Tesla is not in the top 100 of companies that generate earnings, right? They're actually fairly close to almost making the list. So the bottom list 100 is Vale, or is it Valley? I think it's Valley, and they generate 11 billion in was this income, is how they define that, or earnings, I should say. So now talking about earnings, if you're curious, in 2023, Tesla's was about 10 billion in earnings. And to give you some idea of what we're talking about here, again, Tesla's not in the top 100 in terms of earnings of a company. Something like an Apple would be 121 billion in earnings. So you can see here, Apple's got roughly 10 times the earning of Tesla. Even if Tesla were to double their earnings to say something like a 20 billion, something like that, Apple would still be 5 times greater in terms of earnings over Tesla. So I hope you understand sort of why we talk about Tesla as being overvalued, because when you look at their earnings and their revenue, it doesn't compare favorably to other companies. The 15th most valuable company in terms of stock price, right, market cap, in the world, yet they're not even in the top 100 in terms of like how much money they generate in profit or earnings, right? However you want to say it. It doesn't really make sense. Usually these things would kind of be like kind of similar to each other. The other thing too I want to mention as well is when we're talking about, say, like, revenue, and again, this is how much money that you're bringing in, right? To give you an example, is Toyota's number 14, just to say another car company. They have $307 billion of revenue, right? And again, if you look at Tesla, and this is on the revenue chart here, what was it, like 96 billion. So that means Toyota, in terms of revenue, generates 3 times more than Tesla. You can look at any one of these companies up here, etc., and check the numbers for yourself. I want you guys to get comfortable with looking at this stuff. But if you take the time to actually question these things, like when she's like, 8 to 10 trillion dollars of revenue, and Tesla's maybe going to get half of that. It's not even. I mean, that's why I laugh, because I know the numbers, right? Or when they say like, we're the biggest AI project on earth, I really question that. The other thing too is I understand, as a young kid watching this stuff, watching all the YouTubers pump up Tesla, etc. You get excited about space travel and these kind of things. Sure, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to be a good investor, business person, etc., learn to ask questions about numbers. Otherwise, these hype people will hype you up forever. And unfortunately, you'll end up being like this, either the Virgin Galactic people. Because guys, there were, people buying Virgin Galactic up in the, 50s, and now it's like less than $1 because they believed in the hype, right? They was like, hey, Richard Branson's going up there. It must be a great company. It can be great in terms of like hyping you up and getting you to buy the stock, and it can be great for a time. But sometimes, people after a while be like, okay, so how many people are actually going to buy tickets to go on Virgin Galactic? How many flights are you going to do? Do you have government approval? These kind of things. Like, people start to ask questions of your business, and it turns out if you don't have any answers, or you can't do this regularly, right, etc., then the wheels start to fall off the bus. You guys get my point here? And so this is sort of what's going on with Tesla at the moment, is like people are starting to wonder, like, okay, so is that robot ever coming? What about the Semi? What about the Roadster? Why isn't your FSD work, right? This idea that they're something going to have robotaxis when they don't even have it like now. like when all of the bulls are saying it's going to make tons of money, and Kathy was saying is like, they haven't even sold one robotaxi, and something we're projecting is going to do 8 to 10 trillion by 2030. It's just, the whole thing's ludicrous, right? So that's the sort of what I'm talking about. So anyway, please share your thoughts on this. This is why I show you guys hard numbers, understand how to compare Tesla compared to other companies, and why we talk about something like a P/E ratio, the price of stock compared to how much company earns. And you'll start to see very clearly, oh, I get it. Tesla is overvalued. It's crazy. And when someone tries to tell you that they're more than a car company, because that's the argument they try to make, then the next natural question is, okay, show me the robots. And if they don't show any robots, right, then you start to be like, okay, what are you trying to pull on me? Who are you trying to fool?
This guy called Tsiolkovsky, one of the early Russian rocket scientists, the great saying, Earth is the cradle of humanity, but you cannot stay in the cradle forever. It is time to go forth, become a star-faring civilization, be out there among the stars, expand the scope and scale of human consciousness. I find that incredibly exciting. That makes me glad to be alive. I hope you feel the same way.
So the same way that Musk talks about expanding humanity, expanding horizons, I want you to do the same. And don't let people fool you. Look up things, learn things, and always keep your guard up. So thanks again for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you next video.